In most years, scientists announce the discovery of a handful of new species. Sometimes a dozen, occasionally more. These announcements usually arrive quietly, buried in journals, summarized in press releases, noticed mostly by specialists who understand how difficult true species identification actually is. Because a new species does not mean a variation, it does not mean a mutation, and it does not mean something recently evolved. It means an organism that has existed, often for thousands or millions of years, but has never before been formally documented, classified, and confirmed by science. Which is why the number reported in 2025 immediately stood out. 70 new species documented in a single year. Not from one expedition, not from one country, not from one research group working unusually fast, but from across the planet. The number was so large that it quietly shattered previous records, forcing scientists to pause and ask a deeper question. How much life have we been missing all along? When scientists announce a new species, the process behind that announcement is slow, deliberate, and cautious. A physical specimen must be collected and preserved. Its anatomy must be compared against known species. Genetic material is analyzed to confirm it is not simply a population variant. Its characteristics are measured, described, and reviewed. And finally, the findings are submitted to peer-reviewed journals, where other experts challenge and verify the claim. This process can take years. It is why most years produce only a few confirmed discoveries, even though field researchers may encounter far more candidates. So when reports compiled and verified by Science Daily in late 2025 confirmed that 70 new species had been formally documented within a single calendar year, it immediately drew attention. Not as a curiosity, but as a scientific anomaly. These discoveries were not concentrated in one category of life. They were not all mammals, not all insects, not all marine organisms. They spanned multiple branches of the tree of life. Insects, many of them small and easily overlooked. Marine species discovered in deep or understudied waters. Reptiles and amphibians living in isolated or fragmented habitats. Small vertebrates whose subtle differences had masked their true identity for decades. Each discovery was confirmed independently, often by different institutions using different methods across different continents. This was not the result of relaxed standards, it was the result of something larger. The record was not broken because life suddenly exploded across Earth. It was broken because our ability to detect life fundamentally changed. Advances in genetic sequencing allowed scientists to distinguish species that once appeared identical to the naked eye. What were once thought to be single, widespread species were revealed to be multiple genetically distinct lineages. Remote cameras and automated recording systems reached environments that had rarely been surveyed before: dense rainforests, remote mountain regions, underground cave systems, and deep-sea zones far beyond traditional diving limits. Remotely operated vehicles and autonomous underwater explorers documented organisms living in darkness, pressure, and cold, places humans can visit only briefly, if at all. At the same time, international data sharing accelerated the pace of confirmation. Discoveries made in one region could be quickly compared against global databases, reducing duplication and speeding classification. In other words, life did not change, our tools did. Many of the species identified in this record-breaking year were not rare newcomers. They had existed quietly for vast stretches of time. Hidden by extreme environments, protected by remote geography, or overlooked because their differences were subtle: a slight change in bone structure, a variation in genetic sequence, a distinct call or behavior that had never been measured closely enough. Some lived in plain sight, misidentified for generations. Others existed in places humans rarely look, or rarely survive long enough to study. The discoveries reveal a biosphere that is far more crowded than scientists once believed. Not because life is suddenly increasing, but because it has always been there. This is why the record matters. Previous annual records for species discovery were far lower. Dozens of new species in a single year was long considered unlikely, even unrealistic, given the strict standards required for confirmation. Yet 2025 exceeded those expectations decisively. Not because verification was loosened, not because definitions were changed, but because every species added to the list passed peer review. Each one met the same standards applied for decades. That is what makes this moment historic. But beneath the sense of awe, there is another layer to this story, a quieter one. Many of the species discovered in 2025 were identified at the same moment. Some were documented just in time, before habitat destruction, climate shifts, or human expansion erased them completely. Forests cleared faster than surveys can keep up. Coral reefs bleaching before they are fully cataloged. Freshwater systems altered before their full diversity is known. In some cases, the first scientific description of a species may also be one of the last records of its existence. This gives the record a dual meaning. On one hand, it reflects extraordinary scientific progress. On the other, it highlights how incomplete our knowledge still is and how fragile that knowledge can be. The acceleration of discovery is happening alongside an acceleration of loss, which forces an uncomfortable realization. We are not simply discovering life faster. 70 new species in 1 year does not mean we are nearing the end of discovery. It means we have barely begun. The planet is not fully known, its life is not fully counted, and science is still catching up to the complexity of the world it studies. For centuries, humans assumed that most large discoveries were behind us, that the unknown had been mapped, named, and explained. But this record suggests otherwise. It suggests that Earth still holds vast layers of unseen diversity, not hidden because it is rare, but because our perspective has been limited. Sometimes, the most important scientific breakthroughs are not dramatic fossils or singular creatures. They are moments when the scale of the unknown becomes impossible to ignore. 70 new species in 1 year is not just a number, it is a reminder of how much life surrounds us, of how much remains undocumented, and of how much, if you want to keep exploring discoveries like this, the ones that quietly reshape what we know about life on Earth, consider subscribing. New research is emerging every year, and many of the most important stories are still being uncovered.